Good morning, and thank you for joining us on After GMS. I'm Tracy McCain here with Megan Malaris. Before we get to some of our other news of the day, we have to dig right into the developing details in Texas, where tragedy unfolded yesterday.
This morning, we are awaiting new updates out of a town called Uvalde, which is where an 18-year-old gunman opened fire and killed 21 people, including 19 students at an elementary school there. Robb Elementary School holds 2nd through 4th grades. Investigators say 19 children and 2 adults, including at least 1 teacher, died in this. Several more people were injured, some critically. The Archbishop of Uvalde talked about his experience visiting the emergency room.
We were able to meet with some of the children who had been wounded, to pray with them, to bless them, to be with their families, to be with some families who had been informed of the loss of their children. To be there and sort of hold them in their pain and their distress.
Authorities identified the gunman as 18-year-old Salvador Ramos. They say he shot his grandmother, then drove to Robb Elementary and started shooting at all those innocent children. A responding officer shot and killed the gunman, and last night President Joe Biden called on lawmakers to take action.
The situation is still developing. We are continuing to learn more about what happened and the people who died. Our coverage continues online for the latest updates. We'll also have much more on WFMY News 2 at noon.
All right, let's talk about that forecast today, because the cool air is still holding on, as well as those clouds as you look out over downtown High Point right now, and enough of a drizzle falling in the weather garden here at News 2, where I'm holding the umbrella at this time. Check out some of the numbers from yesterday. 63 degrees was the high. Average high right now is 80 degrees. So yeah, we were far below that. 57 yesterday morning. 60 is the average low right now. So by the morning standards, we weren't far off. By the afternoon, we were a whole lot cooler than normal. And we will be again today too. That cooler air is still going to win out, although we're a little bit warmer than we were yesterday. We'll be right around 70 degrees for the afternoon, but our neighbors to our south and to our east and to our west will likely climb up into the mid-70s, even close to 80 for some folks this afternoon. Here's the story. Cooler air from the north building in, while warmer air from the south is trying to move it out of the way. Well, warm air can never really move cold, dense air out of the way, but eventually that wedge will start to break apart. So the warm air will start to win out. We'll be in the upper 70s to near 80 going into your Thursday. And then we need to watch another system on the way. It'll be this cold front that swings by on your Friday. But I think we do need to pay attention Thursday night through Friday morning into early Friday afternoon as that cold front pushes by for some storms. That could be on the strong or severe side. Right now for tomorrow, the Storm Prediction Center doesn't have us in a severe weather risk, although I could see a scenario where they extend this level 1 risk to include portions of the Piedmont. Although heading into your Friday, again, I think that's the bigger day that we need to watch. Some of our area is already in a level 2 risk. Our western counties in a level 1 risk for severe storms as that cold front pushes through. So here's what it looks like on Futurecast. Again, just clouds today, and actually a few breaks in the clouds, maybe a little bit of sunshine as we go into this afternoon. Not a guarantee, but most of us should end up staying dry for the most part today, other than some drizzle, maybe an isolated shower at times. There's your Thursday, a partly cloudy sky to start. Then as we head into the evening hours, again, scattered thunderstorms will be possible. I think most of those will mainly be in our western counties back into the foothills, but something that we should keep an eye on for sure. And even keep an eye on it through the overnight hours going into your early Friday morning. There could be a couple scattered storms that get a little stronger on the severe side. Then as we head through the lunchtime hour into the early afternoon, we'll pay close attention as that cold front pushes by the Piedmont. Again, that's the chance I think that we have the best opportunity for some of those storms to turn strong or severe. I know it's early, but just wanted to let you know the details, let you know what I'm watching. So if you keep checking back, of course, we will have updates on that. There's the plan for today. It's a cloudy, it's a gray day, a little warmer than yesterday, up near 70. Again, some drizzle falling now in the weather garden, and that'll be possible as we go throughout the day, but most of us should end up staying dry. We'll hold on to the clouds, we'll start to clear them a bit overnight. Drizzle still possible as we drop down to the upper 50s to near 60. There's your 7-day forecast, the unsettled weather through the end of the week, and then your holiday weekend looks pretty darn nice. Sunshine, near 80 Saturday, low 80s on Sunday, back in the mid 80s with a partly cloudy sky from Memorial Day on Monday.
Well, we are a week away from a new month, and that means a new season. We're talking about hurricane season. June 1st is when it all starts, and it lasts pretty long, all the way through September. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, known as NOAA, predicts an above normal Atlantic hurricane season.
So this morning we're asking you, drop a comment here on our feed. Does hurricane season impact your planning for big events or vacations? I know a lot of us who have planned weddings have kept this in mind. So while you share more on your take, here's more on the NOAA update. This season runs from June 1st through the end of November every year. NOAA is forecasting a range of 14 to 21 named storms, 6 to 10 of which could become hurricanes, and 3 to 6 becoming major hurricanes.
So NOAA has released information concerning their predictions for this hurricane season, and that includes the 21 names selected for the potential storms. They include Bonnie, Fiona, and Virginie, to name a few. Hopefully we don't get to V or W, but you never know. And years recently, we've gone all the way into the Greek alphabet, and that could certainly happen again. So let's bring in our weather experts here, meteorologist Christian Morgan and Ed Matthews. Above active, you say?
Yeah, hey, Tracy, I'll mention too, you made a good point about the fact we've only hit that Greek alphabet twice ever in history. 2020 was one year, 2005 was the other year, but that's not going to happen anymore. They've actually said that we're going to go away from Greek names. So if we get busy enough to run out of names this year, there's an alternate list of names. And since you mentioned that list of names, I thought I'd start out with that because it's interesting. There are actually 6 lists of names and they get recycled every 6 years. So Alex, Bonnie, and Colin will be the 3 that are will be the batting order. They're up first this year. Of course, hurricane season starts next week. And officially, of course, we know that things can happen outside of that. But one thing we've noticed over the last 6 or 7 years now, Ed, is that we've had forecasted above average seasons. The average number of named storms we get every year is 14. Average number of hurricanes is 7, and the average number of those 7 becoming major usually is around 3, meaning they were a category 3, 4, or 5 storm. But 14 to 21 named storms this year means that the storms get strong enough where they would take on tropical storm characteristics, meaning they have 39 mile per hour winds or above. And then out of those 14 to 21, expecting 6 to 10 of those to become hurricanes and 3 to 6 of those to become major hurricanes.
Real quick, Christian, what was the C name? Did you say Alex,
Colin.
Bonnie, and Clyde?
Yeah, Alex, Bonnie, and Colin.
Oh, Colin.
I know.
I was just like, how funny is NOAA to do Bonnie and Clyde?
Bonnie and
I don't know if
Clyde.
they would want to do that. Yeah.
Well, no, but I mean, I thought maybe I'm like, oh, they have a sense of humor. Okay, Colin, got it. I misheard you.
The other thing about the names, interesting to know, when they first started naming hurricanes, they were all female names. So now the name list alternates from male, female, male, female, male, female, and they're in alphabetical order. So if you look at the list, they go from A to Z, and they start out with a male, the next name will be a female, male, female, and so on and so forth.
So when we talk about active hurricane season, my mind goes back to 2018. That's when we had Hurricane Florence and then Hurricane Michael. Not necessarily direct impacts to the triad, but indirect impacts in the form of flooding. A lot of people have flood damage they're still dealing with from those years ago. That said, it all depends on our water temperature and the trade winds, Ed, right? That could dictate which one of those storms this year comes our way.
Absolutely correct. You know, there's no one in the weather community, the meteorological community, that is surprised or shocked about the forecast of a very active hurricane season, because we're getting better and better at not only forecasting storms once they develop and where they're going to track, but what we look at in the environment and in the atmosphere to get the storms going in the first place. Sea surface temperatures are very warm. They've got to be, the threshold is about 80 degrees. Anything warmer than that is plenty of fuel to get these clusters of thunderstorms going. Speaking of clusters of thunderstorms, we have what we call these waves, these tropical waves that move off the west coast of Africa, and we are suspecting that we're going to see more of those, and those that move off the African coast are going to be stronger, and those are the systems that eventually develop into tropical storms and hurricanes as well. Also, you look in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere, the wind currents are going to be lower in the tropics this season. You need lighter winds to get these clusters of thunderstorms to kind of group together and organize to become a hurricane or a tropical storm.
I was going to say, most of our storms don't have that inland effect that you were talking about, but a few of them did. And we saw more flooding here than they did at the coast. That doesn't always happen, but it's always important, you know, when I think of hurricane season, I think get my stuff in line and in order so that if I need to, you know, go somewhere else, I have that stuff ready. But it's not always an inland situation.
Yeah, I remember a few years ago, and I've shared this story before, when a couple of the team members and I were on the coast at Oak Island covering Hurricane Matthew. People were evacuating Oak Island and going to places like Fayetteville to seek shelter.
And it
got worse in Fayetteville. As you know, we were following the FEMA trucks into neighborhoods where people had evacuated, and they were rescuing people from boats. It's just, water can do so much damage, even if you're not technically in a flood zone.
So talk about that, guys, just a little bit, the impacts of hurricane. We always talk about the winds, but the storm surge, the water that you can accumulate is just as dangerous and deadly.
Is my mic on? There it is. Flooding is actually one of the biggest, biggest threats to life in any kind of storm situation. Flooding and lightning kill more people than tornadoes do and than wind damage do. So always good to keep that in mind. And of course, you talk about the flooding and you talk about the storm surge. And really, well, what is that storm surge that we always talk about? Because I think a lot of that information gets lost. When you have a big churning tropical system or hurricane out in the ocean, just take a look back and remember just two weeks ago when we were talking about all the issues that were happening along the Outer Banks. That wasn't a tropical system, but it was just an area of low pressure spinning out in the ocean. And so what all that wind is doing, it pushes all those waves inland. So not only do you get, not only did you have high tides from, a full moon, you also had water being pushed in onshore from the wind from that low pressure system out over the ocean. And of course, some of these hurricanes get a whole lot stronger than that. And so they're able to push all this water up along the coast and push it inland. And so when you have all that and you have all that storm surge, it really is ocean water just running into your neighborhoods and overflowing. So we talk about that storm surge, we talk about the flooding concerns, and really the best thing for you to do is get to higher ground. The further inland you get, the whole lot better that you're going to be. But places, in southeastern North Carolina, you talk about Fayetteville, you talk about Wayne County, Goldsboro, all of those areas, Kinston, those kind of areas were still, and even now still, are trying to recover from some of the impacts of Hurricane Matthew and all of that flooding that they endured.
So we asked you earlier if you take hurricane season into account when you're planning big events like weddings, for example, birthday parties, or if you're planning a vacation, in the summer or early into the fall. LeVar said absolutely, specifically if they're planning a beach trip. I know we do that too. Some of the best rates are after kids go back to school, so you can go in September and October for much cheaper than you would earlier in hurricane season, June, July, and even part of August. But you're taking a risk, because the greater chance of storms is later on in the season. And so we always make sure that the hotel or the condo has some kind of a refund policy, or at least know that they will give a credit if there is a storm coming. And Ed, I know you're an avid beachgoer as well. I'm sure you would have some similar advice.
Yeah, there have been a few times when I've had to cancel beach trips to the Carolina coast because take a wild guess where your meteorological friends are, right here at the TV station, and for obvious reasons, so we can give you very important and very vital information. But a point I want to make, we were talking about the flooding and all of the activity along the beautiful Carolina coast. We really watch systems that move from the Caribbean into the Gulf of Mexico. We've had several storms that have impacted us severely that have gotten stronger in the Gulf of Mexico, move inland along the Gulf Coast, and then track up through the Appalachians, bringing torrential rain. And if they're close enough by, but just to our west, we're in that dangerous eastern quadrant of the storm, and that's where you have some of the strongest winds and the likelihood of tornadoes as well. So we really pay attention. We pay attention to all of them, let me make that clear. But when they move into the Gulf of Mexico and turn to the north towards the Gulf Coast, we really get nervous.
All right, well, we have a whole week until the start of hurricane season. That doesn't mean that it can't come earlier or later, but we will have our perfect team of meteorologists keeping track on all storms as they do every day in our area. So we will dive into that, I guess, when it happens.
All righty, let's take a look at the 7-day forecast. A little spotty drizzle, lots of clouds this morning, mostly cloudy through the afternoon, upper 60s to near 70 today. Tomorrow, a cold front approaches. I think during the day we're going to be fairly dry. We go into Thursday evening, overnight Thursday night, and Friday morning up through midday. A cold front will approach, move through the area on Friday. It could bring a few strong or severe storms to our part of the Piedmont, especially on Friday morning. We're going to keep an eye on that. The front will move off the Carolina coast. Drier air works in. We'll finally start to see more in the way of sunshine. That's going to warm us back up. Your holiday weekend right now looking real good. 80 on Saturday, 83 on Sunday, and by Memorial Day, temperatures will be up around 85. Looking forward to that.
85, sunshine, perfect for what will be June.
Yes.
All right, thanks so much for joining us on After GMS.
We'll see you back here for WFMY News 2 at noon. Get out there and get to it.